Good morning, my name is Patricio Rada, and I'll be talking a little bit about undoing our perceptions of gender. So I want to talk a little bit about myself before we start. When I was a kid, most of my friends were girls, if not all of them. And it wasn't because that they were girls, it just, I liked the things they liked, the shows they watched, the games they played. And when I would go on play dates with said girls, I would adopt certain feminine attributes that I admired: kindness, hospitality, gentility. I saw these traits in my friends, my teachers, my mom, and in the princess movies that I would watch over and over again as a kid. I remember, though, starting to feel a feeling of shame whenever I would paint my nails or wear a princess dress. People in my family would tell me that these were things that girls did and that I should stop. But I never really understood why. At around 10, I started to feel a great divide between the boys my age and me. I didn't like the things they liked, like playing sports or video games. Instead, I harbored a fascination with dolls and playing family with my female friends. I was the dad, of course. But this divide didn't help my mental health. I started to feel conflicted with who I was and who I was expected to be. This manifested anger issues that my parents and I had years of trouble with. So let's talk a little bit about why I'm here. I want to first define what sex and gender is. So sex, as a simple dictionary puts it, is either variation, male or female, in a species, especially as differentiated by the reproductive organs. But gender is either division as differentiated by social and cultural roles of behavior. There's a very important distinction to be made there. Some people in society, you're expected to adapt to the cultural expectations of your assigned sex. But for some people, such as myself, that can be difficult, limiting, harmful. I find the idea that we can't really fall out of these male-female categories kind of absurd, don't you? I mean, look around your closet or at the outfit that you're wearing right now. You probably have something that falls outside of the male-female ideals that we've set up for ourselves. This can be as simple as a pink shirt for males or dress pants for females. None of us have the perfect ideal of what it means to be male or female. So why are we still encouraging people to express this? I know what some of you may be thinking about where I'm going with this. There's only two genders, and all this other new gender expressions are Gen Z nonsense. But I'm here to tell you that that's not exactly true. Differing sexual gender identities have existed for hundreds of years. One even originated here in Mexico, the Mukshi identity. Mukshi people reside in the Zapotec culture of Oaxaca and are generally biological males who dress in feminine garb and/or wear makeup. But they don't consider themselves transgender, but rather adhere to a different gender identity separate from male or female. They normally adopt feminine social roles such as working in embroidery, hairdressing, or teaching dance class, in spite of being biologically male. In the United States, indigenous people may identify as two-spirit, also adhering to a third gender separate from the male-female binary in the Western world. Two-spirit people may have characteristics of masculine or feminine characteristics. And they have specialized work roles, gender variation, and spiritual sanction. So now we see that gender hasn't always existed as black and white. It's existed on a spectrum, despite what many may think today. Now let me ask you a question. If clothing weren't labeled, would you be dressed the way you are right now, or maybe a little bit differently? In all honesty, I would be dressed a little differently. And even if your answer was no, it's yes for millions of people around the world like me who have faced conflict between their gender expression and their sex. But yet we keep putting labels on things like clothes, makeup, movie genres, and stationery. I mean, we laugh at some of these things now, but these things can be, this along with microaggressions such as man up and act like a lady, can cause people to feel conflicted with who they're supposed to be. Misconceptions of gender have caused a disheartening amount of violence. In 2019, 26 transgender people were murdered in the United States alone, just for being transgender. And in a study published by the American Journal of Youth and Adolescence, it was discovered that 31% of the transgender youth surveyed had attempted to take their own lives, in comparison with only 11% of cisgender youth. And even though I identify with my assigned sex, and I express that semi-accordingly, when I was a child, I experienced many symptoms of depression. And I don't blame my parents for this. I just wish I had the resources to understand that being a biological male didn't need to indicate whether I dressed a certain way or spoke a certain way or my interests. It's normal for the strict enforcement of gender roles to be harmful to all genders. In a study published by the American Journal of Men's Health, it was revealed that the strict enforcement of masculine gender roles on men, such as anti-femininity, dominance, and violence, was directly correlated with the manifestation of hospitality, aggression, and depression, which in my case was true. By now, I'm hoping that at least a quarter of you have begun to maybe realize that what you had thought about the gender binary might have been built up on misconceptions. And to those of you who may be rolling your eyes at me, I get it. But upon further reflection, hopefully you'll realize that all the gender binary works to do is constrict us and put us into categories which are hard to diverge from. Because once we do diverge from them, we are met with disagreement. And it's meant a lot personally that I've been able to have this platform and share my experience and invite you to have new understanding with me. These aren't things that we always talk about, but I'm glad that we're talking about them. I invite you to open up your hearts to people of differing gender identities, because these people are extremely brave to live in a world where many view them with hatred or disgust. I'm inviting you to be on the right side of history. Thank you all so much. Take care and love one another.